Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I'll be facing Flower Fairy, winner of Mag 1 Season 2, and also the winner of the recent Mag 100 finals during the Steel vs. Mobile Force event. So probably one of the scariest, if not the scariest player to face on ladder at the moment. I'll be playing my favorite specialist, Elite Spec, with a Hound Sledgehammer opener. I think I've already talked about Hounds currently being very powerful, and honestly, with Elite being able to purchase level 2 Hounds, it feels like it has definitely gotten stronger, if only for that unit alone. Now, Flower Fairy here will be starting with the Tarantulas and will be a Rhino specialist. He's not necessarily known to play aggro, but ever since the Hounds have gotten meta, he's definitely given it a few more goes. So let's see how he decides to defend this. It looks like we will be in a headbutt, and Fairy here decides to go for just a little bit more chaff. One crawler pickup here in the back, and then one fang in between the spiders. I decided to go for 2 marksmen, simply because I didn't think I would have the damage to get rid of the spiders quick enough. And honestly, on Elite, I quite like marksmen, because at level 2, they are definitely a lot more powerful than they would be on any other specialist where you have to buy them at level 1. Also keep in mind the sledgehammers here are plenty tanky against something like spiders, so I really don't need to prioritize getting another chaff unit, something like fangs or crawlers. I am lacking DPS, so it's better to buy that. The sledges will do just fine into pretty much anything you can buy. Round number 2, we get a bunch of unit reinforcements. Stormcaller here could be an idea, but it is a bit slow, and it doesn't really deal with the Wasps or the Farseer. Well, I guess the Farseer it might deal with, but the Wasp is kind of the concern. And Farseer is just so versatile that it's hard to skip, I feel, when it shows up on round 2. So that is what I should be picking here. Again, there is something to be said for a Stormcaller. It just so happens that my opponent added another spider, and he's very clumped up right now with these fangs in the front, so it could give me a good target. That would have been a fine pickup too. But instead I'll be going for the Farseer. It's also the fact that the Farseer is something that I can't unlock by myself. It's a level 1 unit, right? If I want a Stormcaller, I can just buy one at level 2 anyway. So that's why we're going to go for this. Looks like both of us have about the similar idea, trying to push for the right side tower. Very common thing when you have these drops and you happen to be in a headbutt. Round 2, be careful about the right side. You can level up your tower as well if you want to, or you can try and pressure. I decide to add another Hound, and also add a late Fang here in the back, just in case I was getting flanked by the Wasp drop. Hounds here have died to the Farseer though. I guess maybe a Crawler pack would have been better. And we will be trading, even though I added another unit pack. A little bit unfortunate there. Marksmen are locked on though, and the level 2 Fangs will be slightly more powerful and able to deal with this late Crawler pack that's coming in. I will lose a Marksman. Tarantulas will be picking up some experience, but I think we should be able to take the win here as we distract the spider, make sure that we don't get debuffed, and deal a little bit more chip damage entering round 3. And this is where the scary card pops up. Improved Melting Point. Now, every time it shows up, I do have a little bit of a think about it. I think it is close to an insta-pick here, but the downside is I'm Elite Spec, and so it's hard to get into melters, and also I'm just not a big fan of having to play mirrors. So I said to myself, if he wants to go for this, fine. I will try and just out-tempo him and see if I can somehow, win the game before he manages to get all the pieces he needs to play something like Improved Multi-Melter, which is the scary combination with that card, right? You get the bonus range of 20, which is an awful lot, and that kind of makes up for the 30 range loss you get when you click Multi-Melter. It's such a big difference as well that, honestly, if I tried to play normal melters into this, I would likely still lose, because the 10 range is not really something you feel. And yeah, those multi-beams are something else entirely. Now, round number 2, I decided to go for something a little bit different. Well, different. It's not as if nobody plays Firehound. It's a very popular tech, but Usually on aggro you will see something like the range and the mech rage, but here I decided to go for fire because I saw my opponent was quite clumped up, and he has those fang packs in the front that are easy to hit, and yeah, it should work a treat. Right side, more stuff was added. I didn't really bother with that. Opponent added the spider, which we do take down. We get rid of the crawlers as well. Just the Farseer remains. And now it'll just come down to some tower timings, but you have to imagine that with 3 marksmen still alive, and the sledgehammers too, that I should be completely fine. I will lose 1 marksman, but that should be about it. And we're doing a good job here of keeping up the pressure, as Fairy now down to 2.6. He is a Rhino spec, and round 4, portable shield shows up. I will go for it too. It's a nice item, but it's a little bit scary when the opponent has that Rhino available. And a Melter picked up now as well. So big power spike turn, opponent sells out of the Farseer, and this is where I decide to get into Steel Balls. Level 2 Steel Balls, especially with this item here, the portable shield, very powerful, great against the Rhino, great against the Tarantulas, and also very good against the Melter for as long as it doesn't have the energy diffract tech. Now I don't know that the Melter is there, but either way I should be completely fine here. And yeah, Steel Balls of course positioned in front of the tower. It's the most likely spot for him to attack because, well, it's very open and I didn't have many units there. So it makes sense for me to go for something like this. Pick up another Steel Ball, and have really liked playing Steel Balls on Elite, I have to say. Level 2 Steel Balls are just that little bit extra tanky, and it seems like they do really hit a bit of a power spike in terms of not immediately dying to just about anything. Steel Balls there will lock on, and will not even lose the 1. Melter there, though, will get to work, and with the help of the spider, looks like it will be able to get rid of some of these Steel Balls. I only have 1 left. Left side looking good. We are trying to get to that tower, but it's not going to be in time, which means I will lose my Steel Balls on the right side, but the Farseer still alive. The Hounds doing a good job of distracting, and that should be another, I mean, I want to say 1,000 damage or so, maybe even more. Yeah, down to 1,200 now, so we're keeping up that pressure. And now it's starting to look like I might be able to finish this game in just a couple rounds. Wasp here, picked up for both of us. Both of us don't really have much to deal with. I have 1 Farseer, but, well, that's not going to be enough typically to deal with all of these Wasps. And Wasps should be good into the Melters too, but look at that. Rhino has been sold, portable shield retrieved for Fairy, and he instantly double-techs the Melter with range and energy diffract. I mean, he's low on hit points, but suddenly this board is starting to look very, very scary. And I decided to pick up more Steel Balls, just kind of trying to overwhelm. I only need a couple to lock onto the Melter to have a chance. And I tried to go for a flank, but yeah, I think this is a bit of a mistake. It's quite obvious that my opponent would go for the Wasp here as well, and putting them to defend the flank makes a lot of sense. So I kind of start the round with 1 less Wasp pack. But looks like we are distracting a good amount, but man, that melting point, holding on quite well. I did click EMP though on my Farseer, and that is working a treat on the right side. Left side, I can't quite say the same thing. Look at those Melter beams just absolutely crushing the left side. I have no Steel Balls left, only 2 marksmen. The Fangs are getting melted as well. But I will still come out ahead, and is that going to be enough? Not quite. 266, and now I'm starting to feel a little bit antsy because I was really hoping I would be able to finish the job there. Maybe if the Wasp was on the main board, I would have had a better shot at finishing things. Orbital here shows up. Picked up, of course, for my opponent. Can hit my Wasps on the right side. And, well, I could go for Nuke, but both of his Melters can level, which means that they would be able to take a Nuke hit. And honestly, if I lose the round, even after picking Nuke, I'll put myself too far behind in resources, I think. So instead, I'll just go for the Orbital here as well, trying to hit some of these Wasps. Opponent goes for double Mustang with Intercept, which will be able to deal with this incendiary bomb tech on the hounds, and I decide to go for energy absorption first here on the steel balls. Trying to make sure that if I lock on, I can sustain through the melter damage and hopefully take them down. I add a crawler to the flank here as well, hoping to distract these wasps, and I go for the aerial specialization tech just to make sure that I can hopefully lock onto these wasps. Not quite sure if that's possible though. Considering this crawler is right next to it. And yeah, the crawlers here will kind of distract my wasps, so I won't be having that benefit. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to cheese around, but it doesn't look like that'll be possible. Right side, looks like my chaff is already gone. Steel balls are trying to do what they can, but the absorption tech there just not quite working out. The Farseer not managing to reach the melting point and turn off its techs. And so the right side has now failed to do its job as we try to get rid of this left melter. But man, level 2, 84k hit points. Very tough to get through, and it looks like Fairy will be able to stave off another round from me. And is starting to really stabilize with the 2 melters. Now, round number 7, a heavy armor shows up. And yeah, that will make matters even worse. Very cheap item to make the melters even tankier than they already are. A pretty easy pickup for me as well. It's just, I think, too cheap to pass. Especially when you have something like these steel balls. More Mustangs being added now for my opponent on the right side as well. And this is where I'm having some chaff clear issues, and I might have to click something like range on the hounds. Instead though, I try to go for mechanical division to kind of overwhelm the melting point. That way, if it kills a steel ball, 5 crawlers will pop out and hopefully distract the beam for just that little bit longer so that I can finally lock on and, well, take down his melters. He buys another one. Left one is already level 3 by this point. Right one has a level available too. We get a little beacon backwards, trying to run away and create distance between the melter and the steel balls. Quite like this. Makes it much, much more difficult for me to get that lock that I desperately need. And I just decide to hard commit to steel balls at this point, as with mech div, they also function as chaff. And so simply going to try to overwhelm. Keep in mind here, the fire does land a little bit on the right side, but it gets intercepted everywhere else. And yeah, those multi-melters are doing a lot of work. This time around, we do manage to lock on, but we don't quite manage to ramp up in time. Oh, one steel ball, though, has managed to find that lock. What a hero. And is managing to out-heal the beams. So at least the left side is looking good. But the right side still has chaff, still has mustangs, a tarantula, and more importantly, a full health level 2 improved multi-melter with effectively 160,000 hit points. And with my steel ball gone, I think I simply don't have the damage. As good as that was looking, this thing is completely 1v9. And things are going from bad to worse. I still have 4k hit points though, so lots of things to try. I could try and go for a crawler play as well. Opponent does have some spiders, but they don't have HE at the moment. And crawlers should still do a good job of distracting. So that could be something that I go for. EMP now picked up from my opponent. I should go for it as well, probably, but instead I go for the wasps to try and get another debuff. We do get a bunch of missiles though here. Very respecting the potential for this play. and also bubbling up against a potential EMP. Maybe I should go for something like range at this stage on the steel balls, but I was a little bit afraid because it's so expensive of a third tech, and if it doesn't work out, then yeah, I don't know. I was just going for more steel balls to try and overwhelm, trusting that mechanical division would do its thing. We also tried to target this middle melting point here with the level 3 steel balls, using that mobile beacon, oil being put to use by my opponent. And I do decide to sell for at least 2 more bubbles. Yep, there we go. Right at the end. And, well, with the melting points being added in the top left, it doesn't quite look like I'll be able to get this tower debuff. The fire also gets ignited just by this little bit of fire on the right side that doesn't get intercepted, and so I lose all my chaff, or the little bit of chaff I did have, with the crawlers from the dying steel balls immediately burning up. Right side is not looking too bad. We are kind of managing to lock on, but again... Oh, okay, 1 steel ball here is managing to heal enough, so 1 melter will go down. But again, left side this time around is the side I don't manage to punch through. And, well, without any steel balls left, we're definitely not going to get through this 200k hit point melting point. And the Farseer is doing what it can, but another round now going over to Fairy as he keeps scaling with the multi-melters. Additional deployment slot shows up on round 9. And that looks like a pretty decent thing to pick up. Underground threat could be okay as well. Advanced power system, of course, on aggro is always decent, but I wasn't too sure if it would really help that much because he is somewhat close to me. And so I go for the additional deployments instead. This can also allow me to just get a bunch of small units and really try to hammer down on the crawlers, but we're gonna go for even more steel balls here. 5 steel balls, I think, or 4 steel balls picked up on the round. And I did add a Farseer on the left side last turn, but it doesn't quite seem to have done its thing. And now, Fairy going for multiple control hackers, which is kind of funny considering that he's also playing energy diffract melters. Right? All of the multi-beam techs being clicked. And that could be a little bit scary. I wasn't too afraid of it just yet because they're level 1 hackers, but I guess we'll see what they managed to do. I think at this point, though, I definitely should have clicked something like the range on the steel balls. And something like range on the hounds. Steel balls, I mean, there are a lot of them on the right side, but they are kind of getting taken over. And every time a single one gets taken over, all of the other ones, of course, stop dead in their tracks and don't advance more. Not too sure it's doing all that much here. Most of the steel balls are close to dying, but the EMP from the Farseer just doesn't quite connect. And for those of you wondering, I'm not running EMP on my marksman, so that wasn't something that I could have clicked. And another round now going over to Fairy, and now I'm starting to take way more damage than I was in the previous losing rounds. In round 10, we get a whole bunch of units. Fairy goes for the Saber, and I think I hear the cell. Stormcaller here could be an idea with the EMP, but my opponent does have intercept stangs, so not too sure if that's worth it when these Stormcallers are level 4. And instead I decide to go for the triple Phoenix. And Now I decide to go for a crawler play, hoping to kind of overwhelm this hacker on the right side, making sure that it doesn't lock on, and trying to push into that tower. Adding 2 crawlers here to the flank in case he does add another missile, just so that this hacker doesn't really go forward. Now, opponent has leveled the hackers and clicked range, but let's see how this plays out. We added more crawlers to the right side as well. We clicked impact drill as well as subterranean blitz to try and get in faster and also deal some damage if we do happen to connect with any of these units. And keep in mind, all of the crawlers spawned from the steel balls here will have underground and impact drill as well. And well, at this point, it is fingers crossed. Can we get it done? We are managing to connect on the right side. But man, this melting point is very tanky. Look at how many steel balls are locked onto it before it goes down. We will get the tower debuff, but left side is not looking too well. And the steel balls on the right side are getting kind of distracted there. Tanking a missile too, so getting slowed down. How much can we stop here on the left side? Marksman getting taken over by the hackers. And as that happens, I think I will lose my tower here to my own units. Marksman, there he goes. Farseer will take my own tower at a very bad timing. More missiles there, slowing down my steel balls. And with 9 seconds of debuff, even though we are EMPing this melter, the other one is completely fine. The hacker still alive as well, and my steel balls are just completely sitting still because of those hacked steel balls spawning crawlers. And that is just not going to be enough, and even that's going to be game, sadly. So Fairy takes the win, manages to stave off what could have been a very quick game. And in this game, I made a lot of mistakes. I probably should have gone for something like range enhancement or a different chaff clear tech. I will say, though, the chaff clear didn't look too bad. It was mostly by the end with the hacked steel balls that I was getting stuck, but it didn't look too bad before that. But I never committed to ball range. And so I'm just going to go over to something like round 7, back when Fairy was down to 266 hit points. And we're going to try and replay this round, where I decided to go for mechanical division and see what a difference range would have made as an alternative tech. Alright, so here we are. Now let's pick up that heavy armor like we did. And give that to one of the steel balls, maybe this one on the right. We want to loan and get the temp range, probably. There is this wasp in the top corner, but I don't think it's doing too much. So let's simply retrieve it. And then instead of going mech div, let's try the range enhancement this time around. I do want to try and set this board on fire. Because I think some fire was landing here on the right side. So want to try that and then burn as many of these units as we possibly can, so that these steel balls will have an easier time locking on. Let's add another steel ball on the left and maybe another steel ball on the right, which will be all of the money that we have available. And then perhaps we can try and overwhelm this melter like such by just walking into it. Let's have a look how this goes. We do, of course, have the Farseer on the right side to try and EMP this melter. The fire will land and burn all of the stangs on the left, so that's looking very good. Hopefully we can get some quick locks onto this melter and maybe even push for the tower there. Right side is not looking too bad. We still need to lock onto that melting point, which looking a little bit sketchy. I need that debuff to come through. Opponent melting point is locked onto my Farseer. Can we get the counter lock? Oh, it doesn't quite look like that's the case, but maybe the steel balls here can overwhelm. We do get the debuff. We lock on. And that actually would have been just about enough. Very sketchy turn, but it looks like I would have been able to get that win on the given round. I think I even could have won this game before the hackers came out, because the hackers really did give me some trouble. But before the hackers, I probably could have gone for range still as well on the steel balls. Maybe even range the hounds to try and get some more solid shaft clearing, because at some point the fire just wasn't going to cut it. But yeah, playing for the end on round 7, trying to go for the gut shot play with the fire, looks like it would have been enough. Anyway, I hope that this was somewhat an informative and fun video. If you did like this, please leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please do consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.